Hey Lakers fans, this is Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast, and welcome to the 2024-25 Lakers season. And with the Lakers in the thick of training camp and preseason basketball, I wanted to take the time out before the regular season fully gets underway to highlight and focus on the Lakers' official starting five of D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reaves, Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. And while I think there are a number of fans who would obviously prefer to have a more balanced starting lineup with Jarred Vanderbilt slotted into that small forward spot, given Vando's current ramp-up plan, we obviously know why Rui's getting the nod as the starter. But even beyond Vando's murky health status, today I'm going to outline to you guys just how offensively potent this starting unit can be by taking a look back at their final 33-game stretch to close last season and digging into some eye-opening stats. So why don't we get into it? For some general context, Rui Hachimura officially entered the Lakers starting lineup on February 3 versus the New York Knicks, and the starting five core was born from there. And as JJ Redick has been highlighting several times the last 2 weeks, the Lakers would go on to close the season 23-10. Now, technically they finished 22-10, but if you include the New Orleans play-in game that didn't actually count in the record books, the Lakers closed the regular season out going 23-10, so JJ Redick is correct. But even beyond their 23-10 record, I want to dive into some stats that highlight just how offensively potent this starting five was. During the Lakers' final 32 games, here is where the Lakers team as a whole ranked in comparison to the rest of the league once Rui officially entered into the starting lineup. They were 5th in win percentage with a 69% win percentage behind just the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Dallas Mavericks, the Denver Nuggets, and the Boston Celtics. They were number 1 in field goal percentage, shooting 51.2% from the field. They were also number 3 in three-point field goal percentage, shooting 38.8%, behind just the Pelicans and the Celtics. And lastly, overall, they were 3rd in overall offensive rating with a 118.5 rating, behind just the Pacers and the Celtics. Now, I'll caveat all this by saying that the Lakers team as a whole were just 22nd in defensive rating during this stretch, which pulled them down to being the 12th team in overall net rating. But we know what the deficiencies of this team are with Jarred Vanderbilt absent, so in this video, I'm going to continue to focus on what this team's strengths are. Now let's specifically focus on stats revolving around the Lakers' starting five. In the Lakers' final 32 games, here is what the starters averaged. LeBron James averaged 26.9 points, 7 rebounds, 9.3 assists on 57% from the field and 43% from three. He also averaged 1.2 steals a game. Anthony Davis averaged 24.3 points, 13.5 rebounds, 3.2 assists on 56% from the field, and he swatted 2.3 blocks per game. D'Angelo Russell averaged 19.5 points, 3.7 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 1 steal, and shot 41% from three, knocking down 3.6 threes a game, which is nuts. Rui Hachimura averaged 15.9 points, 5.1 rebounds, 1.3 assists, on 57.6% from the field and 44% from three, knocking down 1.7 threes a game. And lastly, Austin Reaves averaged 16.4 points, 4.9 rebounds, 6 assists, on 48% from the field, 37.6% from three-point land, knocking down 2.2 threes a game and shooting 84% from the stripe. So now, why don't we dive a little more into the numbers? Because there's even more nuance to those insane starting lineup averages that each player put up that I just mentioned. And I want to break things down further for you guys with 3 eye-opening stats that this starting unit was able to achieve over the last 32 games of the season and how those numbers stacked up to the rest of the league's starting units within this same timeline. But before I get to some of those eye-opening stats, if you guys have enjoyed this video up until this point, if I could please ask you guys to hit the subscribe button on this channel, I would really appreciate it. Now with that said, no random Duolingo language lessons today. Let's go straight to some eye-opening stats about this starting lineup, shall we? Vamos. No, I guess that's another language. Anyways, let's get to it. So to kick off our first eye-opening starting lineup stat, number 1. Everyone in the Lakers starting unit last season all averaged 16 points per game or higher during the last 32 games of the season. In fact, during that same 32-game stretch to close the year out, the Lakers were the only starting lineup to have all 5 players average 16-plus points per game. The Cleveland Cavaliers was the next closest team to do that, with Donovan Mitchell averaging 23 points, Jarrett Allen averaging 18 points, Darius Garland averaging 16 points, and Max Strus averaging 11 points. And of the top 100 points per game scorers in the NBA during this time span, the Lakers were the only team to have 5 starters who also played at least 25 games in this time span in the top 100 scorers. Again, 16 plus points or more for every single player in the Lakers starting lineup. And a big component of why this starting unit was so potent offensively and why everyone on the floor was able to eat is the fact that everyone in this starting unit can pass, dribble, and shoot. And by the end of the year, this starting 5 had become more and more comfortable in the Lakers' 5-out system, and they started running more and more set plays for one another. Multiple players could act as the on-ball primary creator. Multiple players were setting inverted screens for one another and either cutting to the basket or popping out for threes. Multiple guys were moving without the ball and cutting into open space. Rui Hachimura in particular had become so adept at roaming the baseline and cutting to the basket for easy buckets, and at times even corner crashing for offensive rebounds and easy putbacks. On one side of the ball, the Lakers could take advantage of the LeBron James and Austin Reaves pick and roll to really get defenses on their heels, trying to decide whether to cover LeBron or get burned by Austin Reaves attacking them in the pick and roll and vice versa. And at other times, the Lakers even began running some really nice 3-man sets involving LeBron James, D'Angelo Russell, and Austin Reaves to help get guys in movement and generate some easy buckets at the rim. D'Angelo Russell in particular was a pro at setting back screens and then popping out for easy cuts to the basket, serving as an offensive safety valve for the Lakers as a whole. And in general, the overall spacing of the floor with Rui Hachimura in the starting lineup was just a lot better for everyone involved, and the Lakers could essentially hot potato the ball all around the court, and regardless of who ended up with the ball at the end, that player was able to make an offensive play. So you put that all together, and in the end, you get everyone in the Lakers starting lineup averaging 16 plus points per game or more. Again, the only starting lineup to do so in the NBA in the last 32 games of the regular season. Now let's move on to my second craziest eye-opening stat about this starting lineup, and let's talk about shooting. The Lakers starting 5 was the only starting lineup in the last 32 games to feature 3 players who shot 41% or better from 3-point range, with a minimum of 1 3-pointer made per game. Rui Hachimura shot 44% from 3, hitting 1.7 threes a game. LeBron James shot 43% from 3, hitting 2 threes a game. And of course, D'Angelo Russell shot 41% from 3, hitting a whopping 3.6 three-pointers a game. The next closest starting 5 in the league to come close to achieving this feat was the Denver Nuggets. They had 3 players who shot 40% from 3 or better in Jamal Murray, KCP, and Michael Porter Jr. But regardless, for the Lakers to have 3 players in the starting lineup shooting above 41% from 3 and hitting at that volume, hitting 1.7 threes or more a game, that is some outstanding 3-point shot making and some outstanding efficiency. And the Lakers were able to achieve this type of efficiency by actually running more set plays down the stretch to get their shooters open. They started setting a lot more down screens, flare screens, and running more Spain pick and roll actions to get guys like D'Angelo Russell free for quality 3-point looks. Watch this play in which Austin Reaves rolls off of LeBron James. LeBron doesn't pull the trigger on the pass, so Austin retreats to the left baseline and curls off of it, as D'Lo sort of sets a corner pin down screen for him to flare out of, and then Austin gets the dribble handoff from Anthony Davis at the wing. But while all this is happening, D'Angelo Russell pops back out to the baseline that Austin just ran through and gets the open 3-point shot off of the Austin pass. But outside of running more organized sets to get 3-point shooters open, another huge component of the Lakers' 3-point proficiency was LeBron James off ball. Because LeBron had 2 ball handlers in D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reaves next to him, LeBron was able to be more of an off-ball catch-and-shoot 3-point shooter and get his feet set to just fire away. In fact, LeBron was the Lakers' #1 catch-and-shoot three-point shooter on the year, shooting 47% on his catch-and-shoot threes, which is incredible. But even beyond this final 32-game stretch, LeBron James, D'Angelo Russell, and Rui Hachimura actually shot above 40% from three the entire regular season. And just to reiterate to you how impressive that stat is, Rui Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell, and LeBron James are the only starting trio in Lakers history to shoot 40% or higher from three in the same season. The next closest Lakers starters to come close to achieving this feat were Derek Fisher and Vladimir Radmanovic, who both shot 40.6% from three in 2007-2008. All right, moving on to the third most eye-opening stat about this starting lineup, let's talk about passing. The Lakers were the only starting lineup within the final 32 games last season to feature three players who played at least 20 games together, who averaged at least 6 assists or more, with LeBron James averaging 9.3 assists, D'Lo averaging 6.5 assists, and Austin Reaves averaging 6 assists. The next teams to come close to achieving this feat were the Milwaukee Bucks, who had two players in their starting lineup in Giannis and Dame, who both averaged 7 assists, and then the Denver Nuggets, who had both Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray averaging 8.8 assists and 6.5 assists respectively. But again, the Lakers are the only team to close the final 2 months of the season to have 3 of their starters averaging 6 assists or more, which just exemplifies the smart playmaking vision that all of their on-ball creators like LeBron James, D'Angelo Russell, and Austin Reaves have. To get nearly 22 assists per game from just 3 players in your starting lineup is absolutely ridiculous. And in terms of overall playmaking in general, all 5 players in the starting lineup seem to understand their pass-cut-replace role within the 5-out offense a lot better towards the end of the year, to the point where a player like Rui Hachimura started to turn into a very effective short roll passer who was starting to instinctively make the next right pass in the offense to open shooters and cutters. In the final 2 months of the season, this starting 5 ranked 3rd in assists per game average out of any other starting unit that played at least 15 games together during this same stretch, behind just the Denver Nuggets and the Indiana Pacers. The Nuggets and Pacers were 2 of the best offensive teams in the NBA last season, and for the Lakers to be 3rd on that list right after them speaks to the level of in-syncness that this group started to reach by the end of the season. So when we take into account the entirety of everything I just laid out with regards to players in the starting lineups, points per game averages, three-point shooting efficiency, and passing volume, unsurprisingly, this all culminated in the Lakers' starting 5 unit being extremely efficient whenever all 5 players were out on the court, as they boasted the #1 field goal percentage amongst all other starting 5 units in the NBA during this stretch, shooting 54.7%. The Denver Nuggets starters were next at 53.9%, followed by the Phoenix Suns at 52.7%. All that to say, the Lakers starters' efficiency when they played on the court at the same time together was literally unmatched over the last 32 games of last year. As a 5-man unit, this lineup had an offensive rating of 114.2 to close the last 2 months of the season, which ranked them 5th out of all other 5-man starting units in the NBA, behind just the Denver Nuggets, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Phoenix Suns, the Orlando Magic, and the Dallas Mavericks starters. But here's the kicker. This starting lineup also wasn't that atrocious on defense when they were all out on the court at the same time. Over the final 2 months of the season, this 5-man lineup of the Lakers had a 110 defensive rating, which would have ranked them 7th in terms of defensive rating behind the Mavericks, the Magic, the Kings, the Pacers, and the Thunder starters. So yeah, when JJ Redick mentioned that this starting unit also finished the season as a top 5-ish defensive rated team, he wasn't joking. And lastly, when looking at just the Lakers lineup data from last season, of all the Lakers lineups that were thrown onto the court last year that played at least 200 possessions together, the Lakers starting lineup of D'Lo, AR, Rui, LeBron, and AD were one of only 2 5-man lineups with a positive overall differential. They had a plus 6.6 overall differential last year, with the next highest lineup being a 5-man group that consisted of D'Lo, Dinwiddie, Reaves, Rui, and AD, and that lineup had a plus 1.8 overall differential. So that is a huge gap. 6.6 to 1.8, everything else in the negatives. By comparison, the Lakers' initial starting lineup to enter the year, which featured Taurean Prince, that lineup was a minus 1.3 in overall differential. So yeah, the Lakers' starting five, when taking into account volume of possessions, was quite literally the most consistent and best Lakers lineup on the floor last season. So in conclusion, is the Lakers' D'Lo, AR, Rui, LeBron, and AD starting lineup perfect? No, obviously not. Do they have their flaws, particularly in the backcourt defensively and at the wing position with Rui masquerading as a wing defender? Yes, for sure. And will this unit go 23-10 over every quarter stretch of the season next year and finish at a 57-win pace? Probably not. I know, these are a lot of questions, but hey, I'm answering them for you. But no matter which way you shake it, it is undeniable. This starting five is an extremely potent offensive unit with multiple weapons who can all pass, cut, shoot, and create a beautiful offensive foundation for JJ Redick to work off of that will give them the advantage over their opponents on most nights in the regular season, even in spite of their defensive deficiencies. Now, don't get me wrong, the Lakers definitely need Jarred Vanderbilt and Christian Wood back and healthy to help bolster their overall defensive and rebounding identity. And in the playoffs, this may be an entirely different story with regards to which 5-man unit can withstand the toll of a much more grueling and gritty postseason run. But as far as the regular season goes, and when you highlight what this current Lakers starting five does best, you are not going to find very many other starting fives in the league with this type of offensive firepower and offensive ceiling. So what do you guys think? Are you guys a little more optimistic about this group in general? Or do you guys still want Jarred Vanderbilt in the starting lineup once he's healthy and has returned? Regardless, let me know in the comments below, and please do me a favor and remember to give this channel a subscribe. And with that said, that'll do it for this video. The start of the NBA season, the start of the Lakers season is here. It is time to get excited. It is time to get lit. The kids don't say that anymore, but I do. Anyways, till next time, this has been Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast. I will catch you guys later.